1, 2, 3, and we are live. All right, this is Lola and Robby on our fifth podcast, I think.
Number 5.
Number 5. And Lola, I picked out a topic. I found something on Forbes about happiness, and and there's a million articles on happiness. Everyone's looking for happiness.
Everybody.
And I want to read you there's no way we can go over the entire article, but I want to read you just the top portion and kind of get your input. But it says, the headline was, the top 8 things people desperately desire but can't seem to attain.
Ooh.
And these are the 8 things: happiness, money, freedom, peace, joy, balance, fulfillment, and confidence. And I got to tell you, those are the 8.
Wow.
I'm thinking, tell me if I'm crazy.
And those, it says that people desire but can't attain?
Can't attain.
Oh my.
So out of the 7, so there's 8. Happiness is 1, right? But then they have money, freedom, peace, joy, balance, fulfillment, and confidence. I'm thinking if you have those 7,
you'd be happy.
You're happy, right? But the point is, they have taken happiness and separated it out as a separate thing besides money and freedom. So I thought that was pretty. Let me tell you what they say about happiness and get your thought on this. But the 2 I really want to talk about today in this video is fulfillment and confidence. Those are the 2 that are very near and dear to me. I've had both of those in abundance, and I've had a complete lack of both of those. And man, what a difference. So, but anyway, on happiness, this is what the author said. Happiness has become so hard to achieve and even harder to maintain, mainly because of 2 reasons. First, people don't understand exactly what makes them happy. They just don't know themselves. That's number 1. And secondly, they search for happiness outside of themselves. In a job, a significant other, a family, a title, a paycheck, a fancy house. They're checking out there, and that's the stuff you really don't have control over.
Absolutely. They want it to be defined, and happiness is one of those things that can't be easily defined. It's sort of numinous, and it's more of a phenomena than it is an actual thing.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's something that comes and goes in waves. It's transient to a large degree. And I think that's why a lot of people are left with the feeling of chasing happiness.
That's a good point. That's okay. So that goes right to their other 7 things, or really the 8 things. Let's go with fulfillment. I'm going to tell you what the definition of, and thank you for that. Let me tell you what the definition of fulfillment is. Utilizing my potential in the best possible way for myself and for others. Right? And then they go into a paragraph, they say, we simply can't experience fulfillment if we're not living up to what we know is our highest and best potential. But to live up to that, we have to live outside of our comfort zone, beyond what even perhaps we have to leave behind the definition of what we've crafted to be who we think we are. And another guy said, and I actually have this on my calendar, so I use Google Calendar, and every day I have something come up, a saying. So I have 7 sayings that I like that continually come up every week, and one of them is, it's about, and of course I'm going to forget it, it's about living outside of your comfort zone, that you only expand and truly fulfill yourself when you're outside of your comfort zone. And I agree with that 100%.
I do as well, and isn't that just the kind of catch that no one wants?
Yeah.
To consistently have to stretch yourself to the limits and outside of your comfort zone. And I identify with that so much because I feel like fulfillment is one of those things that I'm consistently chasing. And I try to stop myself because sometimes I just want a year where there's nothing happening, where there's nothing new. But then I find myself feeling bored and antsy and feeling as if I'm slacking and not living up to my potential or not doing enough to help someone else or help the world. And then it just drives me to go and do something new and anxiety inducing. And yeah.
So fulfillment. All right, so I want to ask you about fulfillment. Well, let me tell you real quick about me. So I do videos and everything else, okay. And I love doing video, but Lola, there are times when I'm doing the job and it just feels like I'm doing a job. I just did a video, the guy's happy. I did a video, the woman's happy. When somebody calls me and says, Rob, this video, man, this is fantastic. I did a video for a company, did a video for a company for their company. And then I had a guy inside the company that reached out to me and said, Rob, the video you did for our CEO we need to use that for investors and stuff. And it was really about the company. Can you edit it? Because you have stuff in there that we've been trying to capture somehow about our culture and things like that that's in it. So I redid the video for that purpose. And no extra money. It was just because I already done the video. I just took another hour. But his email back to me, the compliment, I felt so much better. I didn't just do a video. I felt like I fulfilled something. And I felt so much better about myself that day. I didn't get paid any more money. But that to me is a sense of fulfillment. And then, like I said, then there's days where I just feel like I'm just doing videos, and that's what gets hard. How do you feel? I mean, in your opinion, do you look at yourself, or do you tell your clients, look at yourself, look at everything you bring to the table, even though it may be a regular day for you, you've just helped someone or...
Exactly. It's important to be able to step outside of ourselves and hold the view that someone else may be taking in, because other people can be appreciative of you and what you do and really see mastery because it's something that they themselves can't do.
True.
Like, I'm always blown away by people in your line of work because to me it seems glamorous, fascinating. It seems like you're always on the go and meeting new people and doing new stuff. It looks like a hell of a life. And so you just have to take into account that the people that you come in contact with and you're making videos for, they need you. It's something that they aren't capable of doing themselves, and just the professionalism and the nice aura and attitude that you have, it can make a person's day. And I don't know if you know this or don't know this, but people aren't always just the nicest or easiest to be around or work with. So when you show up somewhere and you're you, then it just turned everything around for that person. And you might actually be the only nice person someone comes in contact with the entire day.
Oh, wow. Never thought about that.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. Wow. And what about the opposite? So someone who has a regular job, 9 to 5, and they get into a rut, and they don't realize what they're actually bringing to the company, or they don't feel like they're being acknowledged for what they bring to the company, but they're providing a very good service 40 hours a week.
Exactly. The company could not go on without them. They're very much an integral part of things. And so I think it's important for people to remind themselves on a daily basis, a place for everyone and everyone in their place. But if you find yourself feeling complacent or feeling as if you're unfulfilled, it's okay. Just acknowledge that and then think about what inside of you needs to be fed. Maybe it's something totally unrelated to work. Maybe you have put aside other passions and just thrown yourself into work, and so now you're unfulfilled.
Oh, good point.
I meet a lot of people that are working their 9 to 5 jobs, but then the more I get to know them, I find out they can sing, or they can paint, or they can write, or they may have psychic capabilities. And all of these things are just kind of on a shelf somewhere. They're not tapping into this. And so that's when I say, well, hey, you've literally cut off a piece of yourself. And so if you are operating at limited capacity because you've totally shut off a part of yourself, you have to open that valve and let everything come rushing out.
Yeah.
And that would help you feel more fulfilled because you'd be tapping into your authentic self. So often people suppress the authentic self.
Yeah, doing what you love. So do what you love. And even if so your job may be your job, but really you have to learn how to love your job.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, because again, you're bringing a service to somebody and you have to be proud of that. That's a huge, but yeah, doing so a good hobby. Also, I think, Lola, giving back. Years ago, I volunteered, and I need to do this again since I'm saying years ago. I volunteered for my church. I just called them up and said, hey, you guys have anything going on? I just have some time. They said, hey, we're painting a house on Saturday, painting a fence for 2 different houses on Saturday. We need some help. I'm thinking, all right, painting a fence. And it was for a halfway house. And with the church people, there's also the people from the halfway house. So we all worked together painting this huge fence on 2 different properties. By the end of the day, Lola, I felt like, and all I did was paint a fence and talk to people. I can't tell, when I came home, I remember calling my friends, I'm like, dude, have you ever volunteered? You got to volunteer. I felt so good that day. You know, no money involved, time out of my Saturday.
But you felt amazing.
Yes. So giving back, money's great. If you can afford to give money, that's awesome. But if you can afford to give your time,
that's the number one thing where you're going to feel the most reward the most immediately.
Yeah.
Is when you give of yourself. I 100% agree.
All right, let's talk about the opposite, fulfillment. You're feeling pretty good, and either your boss or a client is just not satisfied, and they tell you, you know, Lola, you let me down, you bought whatever. And we're not saying they're right, but it's one person, and that one person can affect your entire week, right? And then you feel like I've, you know, once in a blue moon, I've gotten people say, hey, Rob, man, this is not what I expected with the video. And I have my guarantee, so I always get it right because it's right. But at that moment, I'm thinking, man, how did I miss the point so much? And you start questioning yourself. It's immediately you start questioning. It doesn't matter how much experience you have. So how do you, because again, that takes away from your fulfillment.
It sure does.
Right?
Oh my God.
Man.
Oh my gosh, no, the moment you said that, what if someone expresses dissatisfaction? I had this vision of a client years ago. He was a French guy, and French people are very direct. And he stands up midway through our session and he's like, Lola, this is not working for me today. This is shit. I'm not getting what I need.
Wow. Holy cow.
Oh my gosh. And I said, really? And he's like, yeah. And so then he starts pacing around the room and he holds up a corner there and then he'd hold up another corner and say, I'm just not, I'm not happy. This isn't working for me today. I don't know. I just think I'm going to go. I was like, well, are you sure you don't want to have a seat and we can continue? Because I can tell you're really upset. And I'm thinking, and I'm upset too. And I want some resolve. But I'm like, I can tell you're really upset. No, this isn't working for me. I was like, okay, well, you just call me if and when you're ready to come back. And he came back the next week and he apologized. But he was like, I was just having a really, really bad day. I'd had a rough morning and I'd argued with my spouse. And I'm like, well, all of these are things that you should have spoken about the moment you sat down on the couch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up with everybody. And, and I know you're going to be positive and try and tell me something positive. I said, you don't know what I was going to say, but you didn't give me a chance because you weren't transparent.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, yeah, that can affect the rest of your day or the rest of your week.
How did you deal with that? Because now, and that was probably one of several clients in a day, right?
Yeah, and so that's something else. I tend to do back to back because I like to just go. So he was probably number 3 out of 8 for the day. So I still had a whole bunch of people left to see. And I was like, wow. And I'm going over in my mind and I'm like, I know I was listening. I'm present. I'm engaged. My mind wasn't wandering. I was checking myself to make sure, well, were you thinking about your grocery list or were you doing this or no, I was really there in the moment. But you can't help someone else's perception and his feelings are valid because if he's not getting what he felt like he needed, then that's okay for him to say so. And so when he came back and apologized, I said, your delivery was rough. However, I do appreciate, you being transparent and saying that you weren't getting what you need. And that's always what you should do is tell someone and advocate for what it is you need, but just make sure that you are doing what you need to do for yourself before you try and place the blame or burden onto another person.
That's a good point. Yeah, another good point. Okay. So, and in regards to fulfillment, I'll also say this, and I read this one time, and I made this list probably 2 years ago. Make a list of all the things that you have in your life. And when I read it was a guy who was speaking about it, and he said, look, you're going to think, especially if you're not happy, you're going to think you don't have that much, right? He goes, so start off, he goes, for instance, do you have a job? And people started laughing in the audience because a lot of people don't like their job.
But you have one.
Yes, what if you lost your job today? Right now you lost your job. The first thing you do is go out and look for another one, right? And now all of a sudden you don't have that peace of mind of a paycheck. So write down your job. And he said, let me ask you, I know you don't like your job. He goes, let's go with that. He said, you get paid days off. So if you're homesick, are you still getting paid? Just 'cause that's a good thing. Write that down. Do you get paid vacation? Yes. Okay, well, write that down. These are all things that people don't, they just
Don't think about,
Yes.
take for granted.
Yes. And then he went down here. So I did this list, and Lola, I started, let's say I got to number 10. I'm thinking, what else? But then you start writing out all the stuff, and you realize all the things you have in your life, and there really are a bunch that you have
There
going for
are
you.
so many.
And here's what I did, and it was either from this guy or I read it somewhere. Because you're looking at this list, you're like, okay. He said, now take a pen and put a line through any one of those things. What if this thing was not in your life? And man, when you do that, you physically do that and take that thing out of your life, like, wow, that's... Even when I had my piece of crap car, I had a car that was running. And I say, I just put a line, what if my car got stolen today? I had 3 places I had to be that day. What would I... Yeah, you can go rent a car, you can Uber. Well, I couldn't Uber all the way up to Cyprus. But yeah, even that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think being grateful, having a list of things, and if you've never done that, I highly recommend that. Write everything that you have in your life.
Absolutely. Gratitude is so important.
Yeah.
Gratitude is an essential foundation for navigating life, because if you lack gratitude, you're going to be knocked down considerably all the time by life's obstacles or little barriers that you run into, because you're not keeping your fuel tank of gratitude full.
Explain that, because that's awesome. Explain
So
that.
your fuel tank of gratitude it's that bank, it's that fuel tank of things that are working for you in life. Things that, like you said, Rob, that a lot of people take for granted, but that are there and that are essential to your overall functioning and well-being, so much so that you don't even recognize it or think about it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's important to recognize the little things and be grateful, and also have gratitude for even people in your life that you meet in passing. It could be the guy or girl at the coffee shop in the morning, or a person that passes you in the gas station, but they hold the door as you go inside and they're leaving. Just little things like that, little courtesies. It's important to be grateful. It's important to be grateful for going outside at night and you see a beautiful moon.
Yeah.
It's important to be grateful if you see children playing on a playground and it brings back a memory for you. Just little things.
That's a good point.
And I think that's why like puppies and kittens and videos like that and stuff are so popular on social media, because it makes you think about just the little things in life that hold beauty.
Yeah. And that's all part, again, that's being grateful is all part of fulfillment. And again, doing what you love. It may not be your job, but first of all, you could like your job. If you start to look at your job differently, you start to have a better respect for it. That's number one. So you really should, whatever the heck you're doing in life, I think you should look at what you're doing and be grateful for it, and realize what you bring into that job, that company, and then do what you love. Do what you love. There may be something outside of that job, and then if you can do what you love for a living, that's the ultimate.
Absolutely. And I think people run into a problem too when they think doing what you love means that you have to be really good at that thing.
Oh, good point.
You can love something and do it, but you don't have to be perfection. You don't have to be good at it at all. But if it brings you joy, why not do it?
Yeah.
You may love to sing, but if you can't sing, does that mean you should shut up? No, sing.
Yeah.
Go out and sing. Go to karaoke. Go to open mic nights. Go and let people hear you and hear the joy that you bring to a song. It doesn't matter if you can hold a tune or not. Just doing what you love because you love it and it brings you joy. And joy is one of those things that's contagious.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Joy is more obtainable than happiness.
Explain that.
Well, joy, it's one of those things that you can experience in bursts. So whenever I meet people that are complaining about not being happy, I tell them, okay, well, let's start by looking for moments of joy. Just small little moments of joy from now to the next week. I want you to be on the lookout for any little thing that brings you joy, whatever that looks like. And people surprise themselves. They find a lot of little things that create moments of joy.
Oh, that's true. And I bet you at the end of the week, you'll actually have a bunch of things on
Yeah.
if you're keeping track of it.
Yeah, you'll have a bunch of things that brought you joy.
Oh, wow. I had a, I'll just make this, I don't want to get into religion, but I went to confession a couple of weeks ago, and the priest said to me, okay, Rob, say one Hail Mary, and then he said, and do something nice for someone that they're not expecting. Could be anything. And it could be someone you know, someone you don't know. I'm like, all right, great. So this is like a Saturday morning. He said, do it today. Well, it's like Saturday at 7 o'clock. I haven't given it. I'm like, man, what am I? So I actually sent my brother a text, because he's my brother. Brothers, we take each other, we're for granted. But I sent him a real nice text about he's been there for me.
Oh.
Man, he wrote me back such a long text, which we never do, thanking me. That was a feeling of fulfillment. So doing something, saying something nice to people who are in your life, number one, and even strangers. I was at a supermarket at H-E-B, and there's an older woman behind me, and I see her looking at me, and I'm thinking, does she know me? And Lola, I just came from the gym. This is during the summer. I was in a t-shirt, so I was just getting some quick stuff. And she's looking at me. She says, excuse me, I just want to tell you something. You have a very nice body. I don't mean anything by it. As an older lady. I just want to, well, Lola, I was on cloud 9 for like...
Yeah, like, okay.
Yeah,
this day started out good.
Yeah. So, man, I'm telling you, saying something nice even to a stranger, a thank you, or saying something nice, anything, is also, and that always comes back to you. I think all of that is part of fulfillment.
Yeah, I agree.
Being fulfilled. So, all right, so let's sum up fulfillment. In my opinion, you tell me, I think it's number one, gratitude is part of fulfillment. Finding out what you like, what you enjoy, and seeing, I love what you said, seeing all the joy you have in your life that you probably don't see, but really be aware of it. Because then you realize, man, I do have all these things in my life.
Yeah.
I think sometimes a wake-up call, unfortunately, is when you lose someone in your life that was there. Somebody, could be anyone, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to hang out with Joe. You just never get around to calling Joe, and then he's gone, and the first thing you're saying is, man, I should have hung out with him more. So start doing those things that are on your list, even though you don't have a list.
Exactly. Make time. Make time for the things that you think you don't have time for. I think that's a huge part of fulfillment. I 100% agree with you when you talk about gratitude and fulfillment being tethered together. Absolutely, gratitude is necessary, and if you truly allow yourself to view the world through grateful eyes, you're going to feel more fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because you're going to realize just how much you have to be grateful for and how much you've obviously put into life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people underestimate their own grit and the sweat equity that they pour into life every day because they think they're just in the daily grind, but that daily grind takes effort, and it takes a champion to get up and do it every day.
That's right. That's right. And even in that grind, there's a lot of good things that you may not. So I'm going to close out my part with saying this. It just came to me. There's something that most of us don't like. And then it was a speaker talked about how we should all love it. He talked about stoplights, red lights. He goes, how many times you're trying to get to work, anywhere, and the damn red light catches you and you got to stop and you're annoyed. We all hate red lights. He said, and honestly, we shouldn't call them stoplights. We should call them go lights, because when that light is out, that intersection is a madhouse. It takes forever to get through that intersection.
That's true.
He said, those are all go lights. Because imagine if you have a power outage in an area and none of the lights are working, forget about it. He said, so when you get to a red light, that's okay, because it's because of that. He called them go lights.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, go lights. So the next time you get to a go light, just stop, take a deep breath, take it all in, and recognize how much you have to be grateful for.
That's a good point. Very good. All right. So Lola, let's talk about this other thing that is on my list, on my vision board, which I'm going to tell you about my vision board here in a second. If you've never done one, you probably did one, but a lot of people probably have never even talked about it, thought about it. Confidence. So I'm watching whatever I was watching a month ago on YouTube, and Steve Harvey a video by Steve Harvey talking about a vision board. And I watched this thing, and he's like, man, now the man is obviously successful, very rich. He knows a bunch of rich people, and he said, I'm going to tell you straight out, there is nobody that I know that has money that does not have a vision board. And that landed with me. I'm like, okay, I have to look into this. And he explains how to do it. Well, on my vision board, which, is pictures and writing, words and everything, the very top thing I have on mine is confidence. because I think if I had more confidence, I mean, there are people that I know that if I could afford to hire them to sell my services, I think I'd be number one in Houston, right? Because they are they'd go out and talk to anybody about anything. And of course, confidence goes into a lot of different areas. But confidence, so let me tell you what this Forbes article said. Their definition was feeling like I have something to offer now, rather than feeling consistently as if I'm not ready or I need more training. Like here I am, who I am. And it said here, when we're in situations that are hurtful, demeaning, challenging, or even worse, we lose confidence. We get rocked and we stay rocked. We forget who we are and what we are capable of. But if you have confidence, you're just like, okay, this happened. And if ever you meet, and you are a very confident person, but I'm assuming some of the people that you meet are either lacking or some people are maybe overly confident where nothing seems to affect them. In a way, I know there's probably some bad things with that, but man, I wish I was that way where almost nothing would get to me. I'm like, okay, that's what happened. Let's move on and let's...
You know, hey, thanks for saying that I'm a confident person, and to a large degree I am, but that has taken a lot of work. And the moment you brought up the term confidence, I thought about fearful and fearlessness. And for me, I think I was once upon a time a person that operated out of fear. And so I can remember there was a time in my life for about 3 years, every single day, I would just wake up and like pray, today, give me the strength to be fearless. Give me the strength to be fearless, because I just didn't want to just be poisoned by fear anymore. Yeah. I wanted to be able to go for my goals, you know, approach adversity and do so fearlessly, because things are gonna happen, but it's how you respond to things that happen that determines like how it's going to impact you, whether it's going to be a positive impact or not. And so that for me was a big confidence builder. And so even though I'm confident, I think there are times when, like everyone, that still wavers a little bit. Even just yesterday, I had a meeting with some very incredible psychological minds in this field. And they are advising me on a project that I'm working on research. And one of the people mentioned Yalom, that is like here in the world of psychology, and mentioned my name in the same sentence, like, oh, this work is going to be groundbreaking, it's going to be incredible, and yes, it's bringing to mind Yalom's work for me. And I was like, what? Wow. Really? And I dreaded that meeting all day long. I had been so nervous about the meeting, and so to have that kind of feedback was incredible. And I was like, oh, wow. But I said, yeah, this was really nerve-wracking. And they were like, just relax, we're here to help you, and yeah, it's going to be fine. And I was like, okay, yeah, like you're on the right track. You're doing a great job. But
holy cow. Yeah,
everybody, I think, experiences wavers in their confidence from time to time. But I think it's important to just, surround yourself with good people that you can just be around, where you don't feel like you have to be on.
Right.
Because I think for a lot of people, the pressure to be on all the time is what chips away at their confidence.
Really?
Yeah, to be on and then to have all of these variations of self instead of just, here I am.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, here I am, Robbie. Okay, here I am, Lori. Here I am, John, and you're a different person for each one of those people.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so just being able to have that self with a capital S and be and relax into being that person. Yeah, we have different parts of ourselves, but we want to get to a place to where everything is integrated, to where you're just you, and the complexities and layers of you are apparent to everyone that knows you and accepted by everyone that knows you.
Do you think also, that's good, do you think also confidence, so if you're lacking confidence, do you think you can, all right, so let's just say you would have called me. I'm not saying, but you would have called me, Rob, I'm nervous. I know I would have said, Lola, what the hell are you nervous? You've been in this field for how many years? Okay, good. How many people have you served? And that's over thousands, right?
Yeah.
You have all these years experience. What is it that you don't think you bring to the table? But sometimes it takes somebody from the outside. So do you think to help get confidence or to keep confident, you should have almost a resume of yourself for yourself, not for out there to get a job, but if you're going to put yourself on paper, put all the positive things, and again, not about the gratitude, just the things that you bring to the table in your field or in whatever.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, I think people should do that, should map out all of their positive attributes. And that's an exercise that I do with clients too. I call it a positive asset search, where we go through all of these different descriptive terms and we're like, tell me about this part of yourself. When you hear the word smart, tell me about yourself. When you hear compassionate, tell me about yourself. And people can just name all sorts of positive assets about themselves. So I love when you say make that list, because that's important. People need to be able to make that list. And also, how many different roles do you have in life? Because I think people feel pulled apart by the various roles. But if they can list, okay, I'm a daughter, I'm a girlfriend, I'm a husband.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, if they can list each role and then talk about to what degree their identity is tied to that role, they can know the places in their life where they feel the most confident, and then they can identify the places in their lives where, okay, this needs confidence building in this area.
Yeah.
And it can be really helpful for people.
So how do you build confidence, or is that one of the ways as a list? Are there any other ways you can build confidence in, let's talk about something that a lot of people relate to, let's say in the world of dating, right? Because sometimes you feel like you're top of the world, and one bad date or one comment from a girl or whatever, in a guy's sense, can just knock you down. So what can they do, either in that or maybe with a relationship, what could you do to build your confidence if you're lacking confidence?
Yeah, well, definitely, especially in the dating world, go over yourself and go over that relationship resume and see, what are you ready for? Are you entry level or are you executive level? And be honest with yourself and learn the areas that a person may need to brush up in and be better, because that's something else. Needing improvement, that's never a bad thing. I think people think of that as a negative, but that's okay. If something needs to be improved upon, work towards improving upon it. It's not a bad thing at all.
That's right.
And so being able to recognize that and adopt an attitude of openness and willingness to change and be flexible and grow, that's an ultimate confidence builder. If you can say, you know what, I'm a flexible person, that is the ultimate confidence builder, because it means that you aren't afraid to do the work that's required to be done. You're ready to learn, you're adaptive, and also you can recognize the good things or the perfect things about you right now and feel good about bringing those to the table.
That's true.
Because everyone has something awesome about them. I've never met one person where there wasn't something extraordinary about them.
Really?
Never.
Wow, okay. Do you think it's a good idea, probably in some cases, but do you think it's a good idea to ask a friend or a spouse or whatever, say, hey, I'm not to evaluate you, but again, I've had friends say something to me where I'm like, wow, that's how they see me? I didn't think I was, and then you feel confident, but it was something that just came out. Is it a good idea to, if you're not feeling confident in an area, to call someone and say, hey, listen, but, could that
Well,
backfire?
that depends on who you call.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it just depends, because you want to make sure that the person is really for you. And oftentimes, unfortunately, people have frenemies in their lives, and sometimes they're in relationships with a frenemy. And if your partner isn't someone that's going to build you up and isn't ultimately supportive, that might be your confidence issue. You might need to get rid of them, and then your confidence will go way up. And so sometimes it's about surveying the landscape around you and seeing, do I have flowers? Do I have weeds? What's going on here?
Yeah,
because you might be a prized tropical flower, but you're unaware that that's who you are because of who you've surrounded yourself with.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great point. Yeah, there are people in my life, you're right. There are people that sometimes people either like to, I don't know why they do this, and I'm sure that's a whole nother video. You'll have a dream or a goal, and it's pretty high up there, and somebody says, "Oh man, what are you, crazy?" You know, and they,
Yeah, you can't share your dreams with everyone because some people are literally dream crushers, or they don't want you feeling that good about you that you believe you can accomplish these things.
yeah, true. True, wow. And you know, going back to what we talked about before, I also think getting out of your comfort zone is a great way to build confidence. Doing something that you don't feel comfortable about, but when you accomplish that,
You
you're like,
feel
wow,
great.
yes.
Yeah. Push yourself to the point of mastery, do it, and then move on to something else to master. Yeah.
Wow, man. Yeah, so I think the reason it's at the top of my vision board is because I feel like if I had that much more confidence in every area of my life, I would just be better at getting, I guess my attitude would be better about doing all these different things.
But do you see the level of self-awareness that you possess to even be able to say that?
That's true, but I will tell you, I did not, that was not there until I really sat down and started doing the vision board. And I don't know where confidence was. I was just writing things down. I wish I had this, or I want this out of life. And I don't know where it was, but man, after a while, I was like, no, this has got to be right there at the top. Because if I had more confidence, then I'd get out there more. I'm talking from the business world. In my dating, before I met Susie, there were days I didn't feel confident, and days I felt really confident. And I think when you really feel confident, even if you get turned down, you're like, okay, but I took a chance, I took a shot. And I think a lot of times when you don't have the confidence, you're not taking that shot.
And that's the part that destroys people because it's the what if.
Yes.
I'd rather take the shot and miss than not take the shot at all because it's like taking the shot, it's going to help build that confidence.
That's right. That's right. And it's, again, you could read, it's amazing because I've read a million times that, failure is a huge part of success, right?
Yeah.
You read that, but when you go through a failure, you're like, shit, I know it's part of the failure, but I hate it, you know? And it could be, but again, that to me, it builds character. And then when you conquer that failure, that's where you're like, oh, wow, I got to,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just keep trying. My mom used to always say, nothing beats a failure but a try. So if something doesn't work out, you just try it again. And if that doesn't work out, you keep trying, or you move on to something new to try that may work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. Again, I'm going to bring up Steve Harvey again, only because once you watch one, a bunch of us come up, and he talks about, he said, when you get out there, if you really start to try something, whatever it is, he goes, you have to understand, you're going to get scratched, you're going to get bumped, you're going to get nicks and everything else.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy necessarily, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it.
That's exactly right. He said, he goes, and after a while, those bumps, you don't even feel them in it. You don't feel, and when it's happening, you feel it, but then you realize, and then I think as you get more and more successful in whatever you're doing, it could be business, it could be a relationship, whatever, then those same things that bothered you in the past, something, whatever it may be, now to you it's like, okay, I've experienced, this is just a bump in the road.
And that's a big sign that it's time to turn around and pay it forward and mentor someone too.
Oh,
when you can get to the point where you're like, okay, that's a bump in the road, that means you have knowledge and it's time to spread that knowledge. And that too helps to build and solidify true confidence.
Yeah. So, okay, on that same level, would you recommend, if someone is really lacking confidence, if they're seeing this video and they're just not feeling great, do you recommend they seek out either a mentor or, I don't know, is there a book that you would recommend?
Well, I would definitely recommend people seeking out a mentor and also seeking therapy and getting involved in therapy because there's a whole big portion of therapy and counseling that's called confidence coaching, where it helps to identify areas where an individual lacks confidence and then helps give them the tools that they need to create more confidence in those areas and then to learn how to propel themselves forward. Because sometimes the lack of confidence can make a person feel stuck. And that stuck feeling is really frustrating.
Yeah.
Really frustrating. And so when you want to get unstuck, you've got to start somewhere. And it's really about being proactive and starting one step at a time, picking one area. Do you want to work on romantic life first? Do you want to focus on career? Do you want to focus on social relationships? You pick an area, You address that and then you move on.
Ah, very good. Very good. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming there's also the problem of too much confidence, right? I mean, too much of anything?
Arrogance?
Arrogance. There you go. Arrogance, and I hate arrogance. There you go. That's true.
Yeah, yeah. True confidence, I don't believe a person can be overly confident. However, just make sure the level of competency matches the confidence. But in terms of arrogance, I think that's truly a person that really lacks confidence, really, really lacks confidence. And they're trying to overcompensate with the appearance of being super duper confident.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And I'm going to say this just from a personal standpoint. So one time and I'm sure there are people out there that, someone comes to you with a challenge, maybe work related, and maybe whatever it may be, and you're thinking, man, I can't do this. And a lot of times in the past, I would, especially in my video world, I'd say, I've never done that. That's not me. I can recommend someone. But it was about 2 years ago, a company called me and they wanted me to do this video, and it was a big project. And Lola, I just had such a slow month and a half before that. I had to take it, but I'm like, man, this is out of my realm. This is not what I do. And that was such a conflict. Because my point was, when they asked me if I can do it, I said, yeah, I've done, and because I have done stuff like that, but not at that level.
Not that, yeah.
But I was very confident in, and I'm going to say fake confidence. What is that? Fake it till you make it. At least that's what it was for me on that point. I don't know if that's good or bad. But I just said, yes, I can do it, figuring I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
I love that. You stretched yourself.
Stretched myself. And that turned out to be a great, great experience.
Exactly. You had the seed that you needed. You're like, okay, I'm familiar. I can go there and do what they need and figure it out. And that's what you did. You figured it out.
Yeah. So again, it's about getting out of your comfort zone. And that after that project, man, I was super confident. Yeah.
I love that you brought this story up, Rob, because it's important too for people to recognize that just because you don't assess yourself as being ready, sometimes we're our own worst critics and we don't know when we're ready. And so when opportunity knocks, you've got to open that door and just walk through it. And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for people to be able to recognize that when you're telling yourself, I'm not ready, or I can't. No, if the opportunity presents itself, sometimes that's the universe's way of telling you you are ready, and you just have to trust the process in that moment. You didn't go looking for them, they came to you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. And just so you know, again, I'm not going to go with it, but that story, they actually contacted me. They thought I did a video that was not mine. Mm-hmm. But I did a very similar video, so I assumed it was mine. It was in the middle of the project. The woman said, Rob, I just realized this is not, and she showed me the video. I said, no, that's not my work. Mm-hmm. And she said, oh, and I said, but listen, but that time though, but I was already halfway through and I was already, the project
killing
was going
it.
great. I said, listen, I promise you're going to like it. There's no worries. But yeah, so just sometimes stand
and see, do you see how that even worked? That's like something divine happened. That they thought one thing and then they're like, oh no, it's not you, but we love you.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. I love you say divine, because I absolutely, I can get into the whole thing here with this, maybe it's not the time, but I definitely see there are things that happen to me in life where I feel like it is like meant to be. Sometimes things just happen. I get it. But there are sometimes I'm like, no, this right here is meant to be.
Yeah. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, Lola, this was good. You want to get?
Yes. And so I know we touched on a couple of those 8 things, but when you said meant to be, it just made me think about peace and freedom. What about those two briefly? What are your thoughts?
Sure. So for me, peace, and I put that along with peace of mind. But to me, there's a lot of things under that, because you could be working your ass off, going crazy, but I'm at peace. Like I'm feeling things are going good. And then there are times when things are pretty, I'm not working hard. I have money in the bank, but I don't feel that sense of peace. So to me, peace is about, it's a bunch of those things that are underneath there. It's that feeling of fulfillment. I'm confident that I can do it. See, to me, peace is above that. Both of those things are part of, to me, feeling at peace. again, I am religious. I think that's a huge part of feeling at peace. Freedom. So that's my thing of peace. I want to hear yours. Freedom for me, what is that? Is that financial freedom? Is it freedom of time? You say, what exactly is freedom? To me, I think my life, the way my life is set up, I think I have a pretty free life because I am self-employed. So I can choose and to do or not do projects. That's number one. And because it's what I do, I can go off and do something like this. So imagine if I worked for a company that was a production company, and I say, hey, on Thursday afternoon, I want to go work with Lola. I say, Rob, what are you, crazy? You work for us, you got to be here. So because I'm my own boss, I am free to take time and do something like this. So freedom, I think, I'm very happy with that. Sometimes I'm too free with myself. I need to work hard at finding business. Yeah, but peace of mind, Lola, that.
And it's priceless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about peace, because peace of mind, that is almost, again, that's almost the top. I think everything almost flows underneath that, but.
Yes, I think peace of mind is at the top, and it's a decision much like happiness. I think people can decide for themselves each day when they wake up, am I going to be happy today? Because if you're waiting for things to happen or for everything to align perfectly to make you happy, you may never actually get there.
Yeah.
But if you decide for yourself, I'm happy, all is well, I'm happy, then you will be. You really will be. Now with peace, I definitely think that peace is something that people have to protect and work hard to create and maintain for themselves. And part of that means that you just decide how you're going to approach the world we live in. You have to be able to opt out of chaos. Someone else's chaos does not have to become your own, and it's a choice to disengage from that. Also, creating peace means that you decide what you give your attention to. Everything that vies for your attention is not worthy of your attention.
Oh, good point. Good point.
And so you can choose to tune in or to tune out to certain things and create peace for yourself and give yourself permission. So oftentimes people believe that they don't have a choice in what they're attentive to. This needs my attention, that needs my attention, this person needs my attention. No, you need your attention first and foremost. So becoming self-concerned is an important part of creating and maintaining peace.
Self-concerned. What do you mean? Like what you said, just
concerned about yourself and your own well-being.
Okay.
And a lot of times people attribute that to being selfish, but it's not. If you're concerned about self-preservation and your own well-being, and you're making sure that you're good to yourself, that's only going to allow you to genuinely be good to others. Because then you're giving of yourself from a place of fulfillment where you're full enough and fed enough to have something to give.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people are giving, but they feel worn out because they're giving from a place where there's nothing really left to give. But being self-concerned and making sure you're okay first, that can create peace. And then you can spread that peace out as you need to.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
With freedom, I feel free, but I think that too was a decision, like a lifestyle choice on how to decide to live freely. Making certain that if there are things in my life that do not work for me, then I make changes. Things, people, places, I'm really attentive to all of that because freedom is so important. And I have this game that I play with clients called Feelings in a Jar, where we pull different feelings out and people talk about any feeling over the entire course of their lifetime, any time when they've experienced that emotion. And free is the one that people always place to the side because they have nothing to say for it.
Really?
Yeah. And that's really concerning that we live in a world where people don't feel free.
Wow. So they're confined. They don't feel free because they feel like they have their job, they have their spouse at home, they may have kids. Okay.
And they feel pulled in so many different directions, and they don't feel like they have control over their time. They feel like they don't have control over their money and their resources. They just feel a total loss of control. And so I tell them, I say, well, you know, if you're not feeling in control, you don't think you're running your life is running you, then start thinking of ways to dial it back a little bit to where you get in the driver's seat again.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
just get in the driver's seat. Once you're in the driver's seat, then you're free to chart the course. Maybe you have to become more assertive, issue more directives in your life and tell people how it's going to be rather than you just running to catch up to what everybody else wants you to do or needs from you.
Right.
And get assertive and be okay with being assertive. That creates freedom.
Oh, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Wow.
Yeah. The word no helps with creating freedom and peace.
Yeah. And you don't have to don't feel like you're being mean by saying no. Because that's the first thing.
Exactly. You're not being mean. You're just being mindful of yourself. No is an answer. And just no. Sometimes people like to, give no along with some sort of explanation.
That's me. There we go. I can never just say no.
Yeah, but no is enough.
Wow, that's good. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, Lola, this was great.
Yeah.
This is great. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yay.